There's no state sovereignty.
And I was trying to follow up on that. Has there been instances where the federal government has intervened with force when folks have refused, other than,
I think there was a big war about
other
this
than
at
that
point.
Since that point into the modern age, were there any of the nullification cases later in our history where federal government forced have or used force to enforce the federal law?
Yes, the federal government has had to use it in the desegregation context. So in the state of Mississippi, troops were used in desegregating the University of Mississippi, I believe. The Governor Falvis and Mitch the Subject Cooper v. Aaron, the governor of Arkansas, federal troops were called out in Little Rock for federally authorized National Guard. And so there have been attempts to defy court orders or to defy federal law that have required a more forceful stance by agents operating on behalf of federal law to say, you're acting illegally, this is what the law is.
Any other questions for Representative Poe?
I want to follow through because, again, the prosecutor taking along the sticking point about arrest. But let's say we pass this and we arrest an IRS agent, because everybody hates them. We arrest an IRS agent, this guy, right? Okay, arguably, then the feds get a little uptight, maybe they send some help to bring him from York County Jail, right? Okay, even forgetting the physical conflict of it, we've now arrested an IRS guy. Would you anticipate it would then end up in the courts if we had arrested an IRS agent and then, say, convicted him of our felony? Would it end up in the courts? Would you anticipate?
If I were a Department of Justice person, I would seek an injunction as quickly as possible from a federal judge.
Okay, and then, of course, when you did that up in York County, we could appeal that on up the line, right?
Yes.
Okay, and where, if we kept appealing it and went to war with you, hired a bunch of lawyers, where, not real war, not for company war, okay? If we hire a bunch of lawyers and we end up at the U.S. Supreme Court, based on everything you read, do you have any feel, if I get the first 40 minutes of what you had to say, do you have any feel if we did all of that and went to the Supreme Court, which side they would land on, whether it be South Carolina or the United States?
There's one and only one right answer, the United States. And it's likely your state judges would tell you that before it gets any further anyway.
Any other questions? Mr. Carter, I appreciate you coming and giving us a little background on the nullification. Thank you very much. Chairman Delaney, you have the second bill on the agenda. Maybe let's talk about both at the same time, I think. So if we hear from speakers, they'll have an opportunity to talk about Representative Chumley's bill and your bill.
Now explain my bill. You know, when you're talking about nullification, you're talking about resistance. And there's a right way to resist things, and there's a wrong way to resist things. There's a way to resist federal laws that you disagree with under the law. There's a practical argument, and then there's an academic argument. And we may agree on the academic argument, but the practical argument is ObamaCare has the full force and support of the United States federal government with all that comes with that, the U.S. Army included. And that's just a matter of fact. There's a couple of principles here. Number one, you have to define what you're resisting. And as I've said, you can't define Obamacare right now. So you can't nullify something you can't define. You define parts of it, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing is, you can have all the 10th Amendment arguments you want, and I'll probably agree with you on all of them. It's just like, I think the southern states were within their right to secede, although it wasn't in the Constitution. I don't think it needed to be in the Constitution. I think everyone who joined up with the compact had the right to leave the compact. However, as we learned at Appomattox Courthouse, a state only can exercise all the sovereignty. Number one, it can afford, and number two, it can defend. And you know, we have the 3rd Army located here at Shaw Air Force Base, just 30 miles down the road. You know, so if we somebody commits some act of aggression against a federal judge or a federal employee, you know, they can handle that situation. What do we have to come against that? And affording it. What if we were able to nullify Obamacare and the president declares us in a state of rebellion? You think you're going to get your Social Security checks? You think you're going to get your Medicare coverage? You think you're going to get anything out of the federal government? So can we afford to nullify, as the professor said, commit this illegal act, which I submit to you is an act of a threat of aggression against the United States? And if we did go out and arrest some federal judge who enjoined us and told us to pay the other side's attorney's fees, with the myriad of lawsuits that would occur, even if we were able to do this, you know, where does that get us? So I choose to resist within the law. I choose to do things that we can do, that we know we can do. You know, constitutional resistance, where we tell the federal government we disagree with your laws, and we're going to have our own laws, and but we're not telling you you can't enforce yours, and we're not telling you we're going to arrest your judges and arrest your bureaucrats, as one person told me. We're not going to tell them that. We're just not going to assist you. And I've seen a lot of the social blogs talking about the real ID. I think that came about under the Bush administration where they wanted everybody to have a national ID, and the states didn't cooperate. We didn't tell them they couldn't do it. We just told them we weren't going to cooperate. And as a result of that, it collapsed. And we don't have real ID. Just like the marijuana laws were brought up. You know, states out west have told the federal government, we want our people to be able to smoke marijuana if they want to smoke marijuana, so we legalize it. They didn't tell the federal government, you can't enforce your laws. They said, we're not going to assist you. And we're not going to prosecute anybody. Sanctuary cities. The sanctuary cities of immigration. State, local governments say, we like illegal aliens. We're going to protect them. Federal government, you want to arrest them? That's your business, but we're not going to help you. That's the way you do this. And even the president himself does some of this. You know, he ignores the Defense of Marriage Act. You know, he ignores our own immigration laws. But I choose to go about this the constitutional way. And H. 3473 has three provisions. And then if we find out ways that we can throw a monkey wrench into the implementation or slow it down of Obamacare, we can do that as we go along. But I choose to resist Obamacare the legal way, the constitutional way. I plan to uphold my oath to the Constitution. And the first way is we exploit the inherent weakness of the Obamacare law in regard to state health exchanges and federal health exchanges. That's all about expanding Medicaid. And what the Cato Institute has come up with is that within the plain meaning of the law, only the state exchanges, and if you don't have a state exchange, our governor has said we're not going to, right now the thinking is that you don't have to opt out of Obamacare, you have to opt in. And our governor has said that we're not going to opt into Obamacare. And we passed a bill earlier this year in the House. It's gone to the Senate, but it had a problem with it. It only involved state government. This bill involves not only state government, but quasi-governments and local governments. It involves all political subdivisions. It bans the state government, the political subdivisions, the counties, the cities, the school boards, eleemosynary hospitals that are political subdivisions, gas authorities, whoever, from participating in a state health exchange, which will expand Medicaid. And why is that important? It's because the Cato Institute has found out, and the Attorney General of Oklahoma is suing on this very issue right now, and it will eventually wind up before the United States Supreme Court, that because of the plain language of Obamacare, the states were encouraged to run state health insurance exchanges.